and welcome to Civatree Talks. This is episode number 3 in our 3-part series with VMware, hosted by Civatree's President Richard Lichtenstein. Enjoy episode 3, Hybrid Cloud, SAP on VMware on AWS, AVS, and GCP.
Well, today I have the pleasure to introduce one of the leading experts globally on modernizing SAP with my dear friend Dominic Uliano, who is the Global Alliance Director for SAP at VMware, and a man who has been involved in the virtualization of SAP with hypervisors since almost day one in his 20 years with SAP, and now with his 5+ years at VMware. So, Dom, welcome. We've had the pleasure of doing a few of these Civatree Talks, and I'm looking forward to our subject today. And it's one that really is probably the hottest thing that every customer we talk to is when you go talk to a CIO, excuse me, or you talk to the infrastructure guy or the basis guy. The first thing he says is, we have to be cloud ready. We have to be cloud first. We have to drop our pricing. It's got to be a cloud, blah, blah, blah. And so we have to go on AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Platform. We just have to do that. And of course, when you start to ask what they actually need, there are obviously other things they can do to get ready for the cloud and take advantage of the cloud to what they do. And we know that SAP customers are way more, they'll want to hold on to their stuff in SAP because it is by far the most important application for them. So what VMware has done is built out what we think is a phenomenal hybrid approach using their technology and cross-cloud technology they built out over the last number of years. But now they're building it out with SAP. So maybe give us a few minutes of what you guys are doing with SAP around these hyperscalers and your hybrid cloud methodologies.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, Richard, thanks for having me. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here.
So what we're doing, right? So first of all, VMware is looking at rolling out a common cloud fabric across all the hyperscalers, such as AWS, Azure, and Google, right? We actually have partner agreements with Azure. It's called AVS, Azure VMware Services, and we have another partnership with Google, which is a Google VMware Engine. And we have a longer-term contract that we started a couple years ago with AWS called VMware Cloud on AWS. And what that really is an attempt is to roll out a common building block across all of the clouds using the same code base, actually the same code base that we run on-prem. So we run vSphere, vSAN, and NSX, and we roll them out in a consistent manner across the clouds onto their cloud capacity, right? So this gives customers a completely consistent operating experience to run their SAP environments on. So if it's on-prem, they can run it the same way as they run on the cloud.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be one of the main 3 principles. You guys got thousands of partners who run their own cloud, and they can run the same technology.
We do. We have the VCPP partners, right? IBM Cloud is one of them. It's our biggest. They are all VMware Cloud. And, there's some others coming down the pipeline as well. But you're right. We have a lot of VCPPs that we could do the same thing with.
Yeah, and, what's interesting, and we've been working with you guys in a white paper on this, is that how do you utilize, the cloud to be a true TCO piece? Because at the end of the day, the business wants to be able to take costs out, not just on things like hardware, but on the overall operation. And so the ability to do things like taking non-production loads out, utilizing some of the technology like vMotion, allows them to do that because most people don't realize how much more cost there is for non-production. So I think that kind of thinking is what VMware has kind of helped the customer to get that value.
Well, so first of all, non-prod. Nobody thinks about non-prod really, right? Until you have to pay the bill. And the non-prod, you and I have seen this, right? Typically 3x of non-prod to prod, but more often 4x, 5x, some cases even 6x. So 6 times the non-productive systems for every prod, right? It's incredibly expensive. And part of the reason why those situations exist, because the customers, one, were not designed with best practices, right? So they really need your help. But number two is they don't have automation. They don't have virtual infrastructure that allows them to provision and deprovision these systems at will, right? So using the SAP automation combined with our virtual infrastructure. So, and that's actually a really key point you're bringing up, is just because you move to the cloud doesn't mean you have those capabilities, right? So customers should be focusing on getting cloud ready before they move to the cloud. So build these capabilities in today, right? So leverage your design that you guys do, leverage our virtual infrastructure as well as the SAP automation, and that really focuses on reducing operational TCO, then adopt the cloud using the same model that you've just implemented on-prem.
Yeah, and you and I have done a number of things together where, we talk about the journey, right? And that when you design out or when you're thinking about that, too many customers work on vendor quarters and things like that instead of thinking out a longer approach to that. And that affects things even like budgeting within a customer, is that the important thing is to understand what you want for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And as you get more pressure from these hyperscalers to do that, because, and you know this well, the cost of running on a hyperscaler, there's so many things around, from ingress to, it's always on, and you think you're getting things, while with the hybrid solution with VMware, you get to kind of control out of that.
Yeah, you can control a lot more things. Like, for example, a lot of customers don't realize that when you move to a hyperscaler, you have data transfer costs, right? So do you really want to have systems that are not necessarily that, let's say like BW and ECC, right? Or HANA, BW on HANA and S4. Every night you do feeds from your core systems over to BW. Do you really want those systems in 2 separate places, or do you want them co-located, right? Do you want to take advantage of say a more consistent operating model, right, where you can save money? So I think those are some of the things that customers need to focus on first before they just arbitrarily decide to move to the cloud.
Yeah, and even things like traditional bursting or DR, DR can be, especially with HANA, could be a very expensive proposition, but being able to use the technology of the hybrid solution, you can turn applications on and off when you need to, and you don't have to have everything running at once. It's actually a very cost-effective approach.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, it's funny. A lot of our customers come to us and they want hybrid DR or DR in the cloud. And then we start to explore a little more details about what they want to do. And they want this always on environment, right? And we start to ask, well, have you looked at the cost side of this, right?
Exactly.
And, it sounds good, but then when they look at it, and, I've also noticed a lot of our customers think OpEx is saving money, and it's really not. It's still money leaving your company, but you're just accounting for it as OpEx versus CapEx. And yeah, there's some advantages there, but it's still, a lot of customers have not fully thought that through.
Here's the funny thing, Dominic. Half the customers we talk to really don't even have a DR plan for us. So when was the last time you tested your DR? 5 years ago. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Right. But then you ask why, right? Well, it's just so difficult to do the testing. It disrupts. And that's where you have capabilities like SRM and your best practice design around how to set up DR, right? That's when you see customers' lights go on. They're like, hey, wait, I can practice this, You
hit it right on the nose. It's the ability to be creative, and you, the customer, have control of how you want to do that. And, pointing out, we talked before, one of the Civatree's greatest strength is the ability to help customers design out these solutions. And if you put the right design in, not just for vSphere, but also around disaster recovery, around automation, and you combine those together with a great hybrid cloud solution, and then build that over time, that is something that you get to really take advantage of technology that's cloud ready, not just throwing it into some hyperscale.
Oh, well, so, it's interesting. We have a kind of an anecdotal set of feedback that's come back from our customers around whether or not they were put on virtual SAP, virtualized SAP using our joint best practices, or just went on their own. And the satisfaction level of customers that have gone with a holistic design up front really shows, right? And not only that, but these customers come back to us again and again and again. We've now been in this long enough to where we have customers that have now come back to us 3 or 4 times as their environments have changed, coming back to us, say, hey guys, we're going to redo, we're going to move to HANA now. We want to move to the cloud. Can you advise us on doing it the best way? So I think that's another really important thing, is start with the proper design.
Yeah, I agree. Now, in our other subjects we talked about earlier, we talked about certifications and how tough it can be with SAP, because they truly put you through the works until everything is. I have a feeling that's pretty much the same you're going through now with these hybrid solutions.
Well, yeah, because so SAP expects especially VMware, to be both cloud certified and hybrid certified. And what that means is that they expect our cloud offering to operate as efficiently, as effectively, with the same performance KPIs as it does on-prem. And so, yes, it's even more stringent than even our on-prem certs. To give you an example, our cloud certs actually require our on-premise certs to be done first. So Wow. It's kind of like a double whammy, right? You got to do your on-prem certs, and then you get to do the cloud certs. So they are quite tough.
When do you sleep, Dominic?
That's a good question.
On the phone with Germany at 5 in the morning, and then right through. Mr. Uliano, you're always a pleasure to talk to. We always learn so much from you, and we wish you nothing but the best and good health.
And again, thanks for having me, Richard. Always a pleasure to talk to you as well. Take care.
Thanks for watching Civatree Talks, and we hope you'll join us for future episodes as we continue to talk SAP and more with industry experts. Please be sure to subscribe to Civatree Technologies YouTube channel and click the bell for notifications. We welcome suggestions for future episodes in the comments. Also, please check out our website, www.civatree.com, find us on LinkedIn, and follow @CivatreeT on Twitter.